Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. I'm Andrew Hansen alongside Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach. And yesterday with our members in Discord, we called it Takedown Tuesday, Coach, and that's what it ended up being.
Man, it did. Congratulations on your side too. Those some of those plays, the GPP takedowns, the NBA takedown. I mean, seeing all those Coach Talk badges and all the first place finishes, it was absolutely awesome. And our Discord was blowing up, Twitter was blowing up. I mean, love it, man. Absolutely love it. And not only did we crush it in of that NBA, but we crushed it in baseball too. So, man, this is a lot of fun, Andrew.
It really is. We're on a hot streak. Yesterday was, in fact, the optimal lineup on FanDuel that we gave
That's
out
right.
as one
Yeah.
of our hybrid lineups. So we had members plug it in. It won every contest. So go check it out on Twitter, actually, at DFS Coach Talk. And we put up a little invitation there to retweet that. And we're going to give out a free membership, week membership, or some just straight cash on PayPal if you'd prefer that. So retweet that within the next 24 hours and we'll have one lucky winner at DFS Coach Talk on Twitter. Coach, we need to regroup here and try to
Yeah.
continue the hot streak. Now we're back to a 2-game slate
That's
and
right.
some rather big injury news across the NBA this morning with Kawhi out now for Game
Yeah.
5, potentially the rest of the series. Chris Paul in the COVID protocols. He's not on the slate tonight, but we'll be dealing with that in the near future. But big changes in Game 2. But before we get there, we got to start with Atlanta and Philly, Game 1.
Right.
7:30 tip there. What are your thoughts here, just overall slate-wise with Kawhi and then Joel Embiid, of course, being limited with the knee? Before we break down these teams, what's your overall thought about this slate?
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I got to give you one last shout out though, because putting one lineup together and giving that to our members and it being the optimal lineup. I mean, you've done it multiple times now, and it's just absolutely awesome. I think we put the Mr. Bean King thing up there for you,
Yeah.
and just fantastic. But like you say, the thing about DFS that we love is the next day is a fresh new day. Like if you have a bad day, but even when you have those optimal days, we're all back to zero again.
Yes, we are.
So and then we wake up to all this crazy news. With Kawhi being out and now Chris Paul may be out, which I don't understand that whole scenario. You would think he would have had the vaccine. We need to see the rest of the story because it doesn't make sense. And then of course we have to make this decision today on Joel Embiid, who I've not watched the show, the Dead Man Walking or whatever the heck it's called. I don't know what it's called, but that's what he looked like. He looked like he was just about to fall over, and that was going to be the end of that. But what a different twist it puts on building these lineups and figuring out the rotations and minutes and usage. I've been 3-4 hours this morning just trying to put different combinations together, with those guys off the floor, and hopefully our research and our time that we're putting in is going to give us an edge. But I'll tell you what, it's not easy because it's a lot of change.
You're right. And we are going to go team by team here to sort through the rotations as we see them. And we're also going to build a 2 brains lineup on FanDuel today. We usually do that
Yes.
on Wednesdays. So stick with us for that.
And it's a GPP. We're
GPP.
not doing the hybrid like we attempted last week, and we were at a deadlock chess. What is it in chess? Stalemate.
Right. after the first pick. We agreed on the
After
first
one,
pick, and then we kind of slowed down after that.
One guy made the lineup.
Yep. So we'll do that. It'll be a little bit easier on a 2-game slate. So let's start with Atlanta as the visitors in Game 1. 6.5 point favorites tonight for Philly.
How about that?
Now that they're back at home, 2-2, big Game 5 here. Over under 223.5 on BetUS.com.pa, our presenting sponsor today. Just higher than the 221 total in Game 2. And a very similar scenario where the home team there, the Utah Jazz, favored by 7. So on paper, we have similar games from Vegas, but we're going to break down these rotations. So looking at Atlanta, we saw the new starting lineup with Hunter out. We had Herter added to the mix. Trae Young and Bogdanovich took a ton of shots. You had them stacked in your hybrid lineup that cashed, and they combined for 50 shots,
Isn't
which
that
is
sweet?
really what you want on a 2-game slate.
They didn't shoot well, but hey,
Yeah, low
I'll take the
percentage.
50. I'll take the 50 chucks.
Yeah, right. And Trae Young took 11 threes. Bogdanovich took 13. Trae Young priced up a little bit here today. Will he be as successful on the road? We know that he was great in game 1 in that environment, but I think he fed off that crowd at home. I mean, you
I
could
do
see it
too.
late in that fourth quarter when he just took over and had that adrenaline boost. So I'm probably not going to have him in my first lineup. Bogdanovich is definitely playable. I like his price a lot more. So he's a potential, but on FanDuel, man, that shooting guard position is stacked today because we've got Mitchell and Paul George there. And then that's where Herter is as well, who I think is a decent price on both sides, but does he fit into the build? That's the question. John Collins was awesome in that last game with the energy, athleticism. I mean,
Some of those dunks, my God.
yeah, those were crazy. And you wouldn't expect the highlight reel dunks every night, but the energy and the rebounds, I mean, that guy should have a double-double every night when he plays
It's
37
there's
minutes.
he's so talented. If he could get with a coach that gets him any type of consistency, he's going to be a big time player. The Mavs are trying to get him.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
talk of the Celtics as well. And the thing is, he can shoot the three a little bit too. I mean, he's got so much potential
he
and
really
skill.
does, and he's young.
Yep. Capella, I haven't really been too interested in him in this series, but with Embiid nicked up, he becomes a little bit more attractive as a mid-tier option. Not my favorite play, but playable. And then with the bench, Lou Williams is also, I think, playable, but he just he I think he's in a better spot now with Herter in the starting lineup. He really gets to run that second unit, but limited minutes. He
Right.
got 14 in game 4. Gallinari also playable. I mean, I think these prices are fair on the key 7 guys here. That's as far as I'll go, Coach. I'll look at these 7 and consider them. Gallinari, decent minutes, not doing a ton, but he's in the mix. But it's just it's a tough build, and it kind of starts here with Atlanta. I think there's a lot of potential here, but not a lot of absolute locks for me.
Yeah, no, I mean it's difficult. I mean, the main thing is, I think in this game you have to make a determination in your mind is, do you think Embiid's going to play? If he's going to play, what kind of minutes? And the third piece of that is he going to be effective in those minutes? Because that second half was just, he shouldn't have been on the floor. I mean, that layup that he had toward the end, he had just no lift, couldn't move. I mean, I know he got rebounds just because he was standing there in the middle of the paint, and just grabbed the rebounds and then, made some foul shots. But man, it's because the thing with Embiid is he affects things so much defensively, but obviously without being able to move very well, that's going to be, right down the tubes. So the way I'm looking at this right now, Andrew, and I'd be interested, to see your exact perspective too when we talk about Philly here, is and the reason I'm stating it now is because it affects my selections with Atlanta. But I think that he plays, but I just don't think that he's going to be anywhere near himself, 50, 60% Embiid maybe. So what that does is it does open some more Atlanta interest up for me. I will say this, Trae Young really led my team the other day, but he was 8 for 26 from the field. So I was very fortunate because I do think since the Danny Green injury, well, really it was before he even got injured, when they switched Ben Simmons on Trae Young, Ben Simmons is a phenomenal defender, period. And 8 for 26 is not good. 3 for 11 from 3 is not good. But he did have 18 assists, and he was able to, get it done for us DFS-wise. that's his highest assist total of his career. So I'm not going to go with Trae Young today, even though he was a hero for me the other day, just based on the fact that Simmons is such a key figure. I'm tempted, though, because without Embiid 100% protecting the rim, it does open up those drives, and that floater is just killer. I mean, it's just amazing. It looks like he's lobbing it to somebody. I don't even think his own guys know. They go up
Right.
like they're going to tip dunk it, and it's just one of those little floaters that goes in. So, I mean, he's not 100% eliminated, but he's not in my first build because of price. But I'm not totally giving up on the idea. But I am afraid of Simmons' defense. Herter, I think at his price is a great play, 35 and a half minutes. He's in the starting lineup. He's not afraid to take the shot. You know, he got 10 shots up, which is very reasonable. And he'll get you some ancillary stuff, rebounds, assists, even a block or two. So Herter's high on my list. Collins was my last guy in. And, you know, I said on the podcast I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, which I don't. But he made the lineup because his price is good and the ceiling. And he showed some of that ceiling with, 14 points and 12 rebounds. I don't trust that every game, but I do. He is on my player list because of what I feel is just not even close to 100% Embiid. I prefer Collins a little bit over Capella. I think Capella is somewhat limited in the fact that he's only going to get so many shots. He's mainly in there for the rebounding edge. Now, if for some reason Embiid got ruled out, and they would then play Howard, but it's not like Howard come in and would play 35 minutes like Embiid does. They'd still split it up, move it around between the different guys. So, in that situation, Capella's at least you can think about him. But at his price, with this limited ceiling, I don't think I want to go there. I'm with you on Bogdanovich. I mean, he missed about 4 wide open threes that I can remember at least, where he was just no one guarding him. So he's getting, not getting that Simmons D. He's getting whoever else is out there, Curry, Korkmaz, whomever. So Bogdanovich is high on my list today. He's probably my favorite Hawk. And then the only other guy for me that I would consider, Andrew, is Gallo. I don't quite trust lose minutes yet. Gallo, I've been putting in there because he's so cheap, and he always gets mid-20s minutes, and he seems to always get up 4 or 5 threes, and he's such a good shooter. All he's got to do is make a few of those. He's always good for 4 or 5 rebounds. So if you need the salary, he is not a bad last guy in at all, because his floor is decent. I mean, his ceiling's certainly limited, but his floor is decent for his price. So Herter, excited about. Bogdanovich, excited about. Haven't removed Collins or Gallo from my build, or Young's a long shot. But that's how I see that one panning out. And then I'll jump to Philly and then turn it back over to you. So you heard my diatribe there on Embiid. So I am not going to play Embiid. This will be the first time I haven't rostered him. But, Stevie Wonder could have been watching that game and knew that Embiid looked sluggish. Let's just say that. There's an old throwback bad joke for you. But, he just looked atrocious. I don't trust his minutes. I mean, I know, he had 21 rebounds. I mean, but 4 for 20 from the field. And, you would think at any given moment it could be, tweak and he's out. So I'm not, as a cash single entry player, I'm just not willing to take the risk. I mean, I was holding my breath that whole fourth quarter thinking he's going to go out at any second. And, it could be that way from the tip today. So not going to go there. I expect the guy that will pick up the slack is Tobias. I mean, every time he's needed to do that, he's been a super stud. So he's my favorite Sixer. I think he's a strong play today. And, I think he very well could lead the Sixers in DFS points this game, personally. Still not enthralled with Ben Simmons. I love his defense. I know he is almost a triple-double, an assist away from that. He's, I can't roster a guard at that price that has a range of 2 feet 6 inches. So I just can't do it. The other guy though that I would consider again, and he did well for me again, was Curry. His price is still good. He's hot. He's shooting with confidence. They run plays for him all the time. I mean, they ran that last. I told Dawson, we were watching the game, and it was that timeout, and I said, I know exactly what's going to happen here. He's setting up a play for Curry. They're going to foul Trey. Trey makes the 2 foul shots. They're going to run a curl screen for Curry, and we're going to overtime. And I was ecstatic. And they did all of that, but the shot didn't go in. He had to double clutch it. So
Yeah. Lucky
felt
he
good
even got
about
that off. I mean,
Yeah,
that was a delayed play that was not good. Shake should have just shot that.
he should have just shot it. He stuck with the play, but the screen didn't work, and it was a bummer. But anyway, the fact that they would go to him for that shot on the last play tells you a lot about their confidence in his shooting. So he's high on my list, and I guess cheap wise, Korkmaz seems to be the guy that's now stepping in the most minutes for Danny Green. He and Thibault are splitting that a little bit. And then it gets a little more complicated because you've got that little twist of George Hill, Shake Milton, and Tyrese Maxey. So they're deep. And those guys, any of those guys I just mentioned could get 15, 20 minutes, and then the other guy gets 0 or 5. So I don't trust going deep with those other guys. I would consider Korkmaz. Thibault's just disappointing, man. We've been rostering him, and he's cheaper. I get it. And he gets minutes, and he'll get you some steals. But just offensively, he just struggles. He had, 2 shots that I remember very well. No one within 6 feet of him, and he bricked them. So, Korkmaz as a value. Harris is my favorite. Curry, I love. And then that's where I stand with Philly.
Okay, yeah. I'm also not going to play Embiid. Dwight Howard squarely in play for me. Even if Embiid plays 34 minutes and Howard gets 14, he's been efficient while he's been out there, and always the chance that he could get a bunch more minutes if
something
Embiid
happens to Embiid.
Tweaks anything.
Yeah.
I agree. Tobias Harris gets a nice bump, and his price has come down on FanDuel, so that's helpful.
Definitely.
Curry, agree with everything you said there. The problem on FanDuel, since we're going to build that lineup, is that he's a shooting guard, and that's a crowded position today. I think the one difference for me is Ben Simmons is playable for me, just because of the way the build works out. I hate him as a shooter. I absolutely hate the fact that he doesn't take pride in his shot.
Or foul shot.
Doesn't even have to be the 3-pointer. Like, it's the foul shot. I mean, this guy is a tremendous athlete, and that's what I would want if I was in his inner circle. That's what I would suggest that he do.
Big time.
Korkmaz and Thibault. I like Thibault a little bit better here. Again, he's cheaper on both sites, and he doesn't have a great floor, but he helps make the lineups work. And I like that he took 5 3-pointers. He only made 1. He had a couple that didn't look good, a couple that just missed that I thought did look good. And it's clear that Doc is encouraging him to shoot and step up and, keep the defense honest. So I like the fact that he's going to most likely attempt a bunch of threes again. And I don't like the group of guards there that you mentioned because of the inconsistent minutes and usage, and really not a lot of room for a ceiling game, because I don't think they get 20 minutes. So
no,
definitely will have some exposure to Philly here, and I think they will. They've got to give it their best shot here. They had this series about ready to wrap up almost and let it slip away. Now they're back home. So I think that's another reason I like Simmons to step up here.
Me too.
Again, if Embiid, if something happens to him, we've seen Simmons get a huge boost without Embiid on the floor. So, all right, Coach, before we get to game 2, I just want to invite folks again how to find us. DFS Coach Talk on Twitter if you have any questions. If you want to join dfscoachtalk.com, grab our playoff package for 111. You're going to get 2 months of DFS Coach Talk, and you're going to get all of our sports with that package. So baseball lineups every day. Coach has been crushing it with our man Josh Davis. And then we've also got golf, and it's a huge week, Coach. U.S. Open, we'll do that podcast later today. That's going to be a lot of fun. So jump in today. You'll get lineups in all 3 of those sports. When you sign up at our website, we will send you an email and then invite you into our Discord with that link. Coach, any other thoughts there before we get to game 2?
Yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, we really appreciate it. Every day I say this, but we're getting closer and closer to a really important internal goal for us for subscribers on YouTube. So just take a second, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the little alert button in the upper corner. That will let you know when our podcast posts. That's super important. And also, if you listen to our audio podcasts on Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts can be heard, take a second, hit the 5-star, and give us a quick comment. Our man Joe Stanton does a random selection of a lucky person that is 5-star and commented for a free week membership at Coach Talk, and we're about 10 days away from that next selection. So do that, and hopefully we get you in here for free. So we appreciate it.
Excellent. All right, game 2, Clippers in Utah for game 5. This one will tip at 10 o'clock Eastern, and we've got Kawhi confirmed out now just before lunchtime. So how is that going to affect things? Well, we know that Reggie Jackson and Paul George will be out there with Marcus Morris and Batum. Who's the 5th starter? I think it could be Terrence Mann if they want to go with the size and a defender a la Kawhi Leonard. I think it could be Pat Beverly. That would be my other prediction. I think it'll be one of those 2 guys. We saw Pat Beverly close the game in the last one with Kawhi out. And, man, he's got such an intensity, which was kind of fun to watch when he got tied up with Donovan Mitchell there for the jump ball, and they just kept fighting for it after the whistle.
Such an irritant.
Such an irritant,
it's hilarious.
Which can be helpful. He's the guy you want on your side, not on the other side.
No.
If that happens, then Rondo comes into play for me. I think he could get back in the rotation. But if Terrence Mann starts, then I think Rondo is very risky, and you stick with Beverly. So you have to play with that since we won't necessarily know that before game 1. But with the rest of the starters here, outside of Mann and Beverly, I mean, Paul George is tough to fade today, sort of like Durant yesterday. He'll be out there for me. I mean, what you're replacing are 34 minutes from Kawhi and 19 shots and a leader on both ends. And we saw him initiate the offense a lot. So without him out there, I think Paul George and Reggie Jackson get a little bit of an extra bump. Marcus Morris might get a couple more shots. He got 11. He went 5 for 6. He was awesome. And he's been a terrific shooter all season. Does he shoot 5 for 6? Probably not, but he might get a couple more shots, so he's playable. I like Batum. 32 minutes in the last game. He didn't shoot that great, 1 for 6 on threes, but I would think he might get a couple more looks. And then with the other guys on the bench, I'm probably not going to go to Zubats or Luke Kennard. I like Dwight Howard a little bit better than Zubats. What are your thoughts on the Clippers?
Well, this is where I spent most of the time this morning, was in basketballreference.com. And by the way, if you don't go there and look at their advanced stats in preparing, then you're making a mistake, because they have the best information. They're not a sponsor or anything, so that's a free plug, but they are great. And if you can go to advanced stats, take guys out, take Kawhi out, shuffle the lineup, see where the minutes are going to go, where the usage is going to go. So I looked at multiple different possibilities here, Andrew, and the consistent thing, the most consistent thing I came up with was whoever ends up being that 5th starter is in play for me, because it's not going to just be a 5th starter by default. whoever that is, I believe is going to get some decent enough DFS points to make a difference at a cheap price. And I looked at it as any of four guys. I actually looked at it four: Pat Bev, Terrence Mann, Zubats, and Kennard. And I wouldn't be shocked if any of those started. I agree with you, though. I expect it to be Beverly just because he's a veteran and he's scrappy, and Reggie likes to run the two anyway. So I'm thinking that's where it goes. But that we need that news, and it is the late game. So if we don't get that news, and you're going to play one of these guys in your lineup like a Beverly or whatever, have a 2v2 ready in case you need to make a change. Because for me, if Beverly then doesn't start, I don't want him, because I know he got 20 minutes the last game, but Pat Bev's not a big scorer. And if he gets 15, 16 minutes off the bench, it could sink your lineup. So, if he surprisingly starts Mann, or even a Kennard or something, you got to be ready to make a double change. So keep that in mind, because it is the late game, and that's a big piece of information. So whoever that starter is between those guys, I'm definitely interested in. The guys that have made my lineup consistently, Morris Sr., as you know, I always play him, and he came through for me in a huge way again. I just think that with Kawhi out, that opens up a lot of rebounds. It opens up some more stock potential for him. I like him in this spot. I think it solidifies mid-30s minutes and up. So Morris at that price is definitely in play for me. I agree with you. Paul George, eat the chalk. And I'm not a chalk player, but eat the chalk. George is going to be in 100% of my lineups. He's not 100% lock because he has history of choking a little bit, and it is in Utah. So there's potential for him not to have a great game, but he's going to be so highly owned. If he does go off, which is also potential, then you're dead because you're chasing 90% of the field. So George, free square. Morris, I'm with you for the first time, Andrew, on Batum. I just think, with Kawhi out, that opens a whole new world of him. My fear was he plays 20, 22 minutes and just, not a ton of stats. But if he gets those low 30s minutes, he's big enough when they play a small lineup that he's actually playing center, he and Morris. And that's, again, with Kawhi out, there's an awful lot of rebounds that, he usually grabs that I think Batum could get. So he's highly in play for me. Reggie Jackson, again, more shots are going to be available. So he's not out of play for me, but his price is not quite as good as I'd like it. So there'll be some, consideration there. He's still in the player pool, but not positive there. And then bench-wise, unless they're starting, I'm probably not going to go to the guys coming off the bench, like if it's Mann, Zubac, and Kennard. All have potential, too risky for a cash single entry guy. If they get 12 minutes, again, you sink the ship. And there's enough value guys in this with these four teams that you can still make it work, because we're not paying up for Embiid. You don't have to pay up for Kawhi because he's out. So now you don't have to, hold your breath and pray that Korkmaz, has a big game or something. You can build a pretty consistent lineup. So I'm loving the build today. I really am.
Awesome. You want to cycle through the Utah side?
I can do that. Absolutely. How is the Kawhi situation going to affect the Jazz? I think that overall Kawhi is to me the best all-around player in basketball, best two-way player. Defensively, he affects everything the Clippers do. Regarding guarding the toughest player, whether it be Mitchell or Bogdanovich or whoever they put him on, and then it's just the team defensive aspect of it too, because he's always on help side. He's getting those big claws on everything. He's just such an enormously important player to them. I think, it goes to Mitchell. Mitchell to me becomes one of the better plays. And I'm with you. I know it's hard to pass on some of the shooting guard value plays like Curry, but I just feel like you have to have the 1-2 punch of Jordan Mitchell at shooting guard, specifically on FanDuel.
Yeah.
You certainly can be more, you can vary that on DraftKings and Yahoo, but I just don't know how you get away from those two guys, because when Mitchell gets hot, they generally switch Kawhi on him, or they'll have him on the pick. If the guy picks, he switches to him. So there's a lot of times that, Kawhi is getting a stand there, and we know Mitchell can get hot, and it creates a tough matchup situation. I do think Utah wins this game, by the way. I think Kawhi's absence is going to be rough to swallow, and I think Mitchell's the guy that leads him there. So he's my first guy in. And then, after that, we've talked several times, the Conley situation has created, a lot more potential for Ingles and Clarkson. Now, Clarkson went 3 for 12, which isn't going to get it done, but Joe was 7 for 9, and had a solid game. 27 minutes, decent. Clarkson, 30 minutes, decent. So they're both potential plays, but again, we've got problems with positionality, and Ingles is small forward on FanDuel, right?
He's the shooting guard today.
Oh, Ingles is?
Yep.
Okay, well, forget about that then. So that really, and Clarkson moved to point then?
Correct.
See, that puts Clarkson in play for me over Ingles, because they've moved those guys around. Clarkson was a shooting guard for a while. Ingles was a small forward. They've zipped those guys around. So I think Clarkson, I don't think he goes 3 for 12 again. And again, everybody on Utah gets a bump with Kawhi off the floor. So I do like him. His price is a little tough, but Bogdanovich, 6 for 12, looked like he was starting to see the hoop a little bit better. And, Kawhi did guard Bogdanovich a lot. When he didn't guard Mitchell, he was a good portion on Bogdanovich. So that has a lot to do with some of, the poor shooting. Bogdanovich can get hot and just flat out win you a game. I mean, he can drop 8 to 10, buckets, 6 or 7 threes. And I mean, he's a great shooter. I think he's a great upside play that won't probably be super owned, but I like his price. I like his position. He and Mitchell are my favorite Jazz. O'Neal, if you're in a pinch, he's going to get the minutes, 37 minutes again, and his price is still good. After that, not comfortable with any other bench guys. I think they have 6 players, period. I know you like favors and sometimes, and I get it, but I just, 15 minutes is too nerve-wracking for me. And if I roster Niang, then that means I must have fallen and hit my head really hard. So,
yeah, I'm pretty similar with Utah. Mitchell's locked in for me. I like Ingles, but not on FanDuel as a shooting guard. Clarkson's playable. Bogdanovich did look better in the last game. I don't love his upside. He's more of a cash game play for me.
I didn't even mention Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy, a little expensive here. Does he give you 5x maybe? 6x is unlikely.
Yeah. Only 4 shots again. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Hard to believe a guy that big only gets 4 shots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Royce O'Neal, always playable, decent price.
He's one of your clients. He's in there with Bogdanovich and his guys.
Yeah, he's such a great glue guy for that team.
Yeah.
What a role that he fills. Awesome defender, spot up, really good shooter.
Monster
mix in
minutes.
Rebounds. Yeah, very solid. All right, Coach, let's build this lineup here. What do you say? Let's get this lineup on FanDuel built. Folks can feel free to play it. Check with us on Twitter, as always, for any updates at DFS Coach Talk.
Coach, how about if I jumpstart us and just say, let's go with Mitchell and George, since that's our 2 best plays.
I'm good with that.
And then we know that we have to get some value after that.
Yeah.
So you want me to go?
Sure.
All right. How about I guess again we will change this if we have the information. For now, though, I want to go with Pat Beverly since we both have him game scripted in as starting at point guard at 3,800.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
All right. Wow. Well, how about
Again, that could change if he's not starting.
from one value play to another? Since this is a GPP,
Okay.
let's get Thibault in there at 3,800 and
Gut wrenching
small
blow for
forward.
Coach there.
Yeah, and we can start to pay up elsewhere.
All right. I trust you, man. I trust your selections. That's why you're Mr. Being the King. How about Marcus Morris 5,600? So that gives us a 3-man Clipper stack to make up for all that Kawhi usage.
All right. Well, let's make it 4. Let's go with Batum, 6,200.
Holy
Small
cow.
forward.
Just call us the LA Clippers.
Yes.
Batum. Okay, so we have some money now.
Yes, we do.
We have some money for Mr. Tobias Harris.
Yep.
So we have 6,800 for a point guard and center.
Right.
Just don't take Dwight Howard. We don't need to now. We have enough money.
I don't know about that. I think we might need to.
Oh, no.
Because I'd like to get Ben Simmons in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're chopping me right off at the legs. All my least favorite guys. Well, it's your pick. I respect. Oh, I don't have to take one of those guys. Isn't making our team. That's what I'm going to say.
So does that kind of forces our
You're
hand to play
stuck.
Howard, huh?
Well, it's your call, man. I mean, if you play Howard, then I can play Trae Young, right?
No, can't quite afford him.
Oh, come on, Andrew. That's not fair.
Doesn't get there.
Shit.
So let's go Simmons and Howard, and let's reevaluate. Do we want to pay up from Thibault maybe? Let's see if we can. Because we have 1,100 on the table. We can't quite get to Gallinari. What do you know? FanDuel built that lineup and said you can't play Gallinari with that group.
Yeah. We got to make one buy up here somewhere, though, because we have $1,100.
We could go from Pat Beverly up to Reggie Jackson, actually.
Yeah, that's safer.
Yeah.
Let's do that
All
because
right, I
that
kinda
leaves
like that.
perfect. At least, yeah, I can do that. I will say that this lineup is a 2.5 star for me,
Really?
but I trust you.
I like it better than that. I think it's...
Yeah, I'm just trying to be, you under promise and over deliver, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So Reggie Jackson, Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Matisse Thybulle, Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, Tobias Harris, and Dwight Howard.
There it is. It might win everything.
That could be the optimal right there.
We'll see. We'll find out in about 12 hours. It's going to be fun.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Well, join us for the rest of our lineups. We give out 2 hybrid lineups most days on FanDuel that are plug and play. We give out a GPP lineup, full lineup on Yahoo, a core on DraftKings for GPPs, a core for cash. Any questions? Twitter, DFS Coach Talk. On YouTube, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to continue these 7 days a week in front of the paywall throughout the playoffs. We did it all in the regular season, every slate, and we're going to keep rolling it.
Absolutely. And I am so fired up. Now I'm getting my early only and MLB slate together, 6-gamer.
Yep.
Then tonight we've got the main slate MLB, 8 games. We have the U.S. Open, which we'll be doing a podcast and posting lineups tonight. And that just all gets us ready for the 2-game NBA playoff slate. So we're in DFS heaven here at Coach Talk, and we're hot on top of it. So come join us. We would love to have you. DFSCoachTalk.com.
Excellent.
And one last congratulations to Andrew for the optimal lineup again yesterday.
Thank you, good sir. It is fun, and we're going to try to do it again tonight. So thank you all for joining us on behalf of the coach and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team. I'm Andrew Hansen. We'll see you tomorrow as we look to crush it in DFS.